Hello, everyone. A very good morning and a good afternoon to all the participants. Thank you very much for joining this webinar. Um, we will be talking about a much talked about subject in the IT world, which is modern data platform. A lot of enterprises who are currently in the journey of how to build a highly scalable, very secure, and future-proof modern data platform. Cloud migration, all of us, as we know, is an old story. People have been worried about migration to cloud about a decade ago, but now the expectation have really gone up, and people are really looking forward to more in terms of a secure platform which can help them get the insights from their data at a much faster pace, and also be able to help them in serving a number of different use cases, which are ranging from a traditional data lake, data warehouse, powering up the business intelligence dashboards, to something around machine learning and generative AI and digital twin and whatnot. And therefore, with the growing need and the growing complexity of the ecosystem, we are here to present this webinar with help of DS Smith and AWS to share our success story on digital and data platform that was developed in DS Smith. Today's webinar is going to be about how Exponentia.ai, which is a service integrator that has helped along with AWS as a cloud service partner to build a fully scalable and secure data platform for DS Smith, which is a FTSE 100 company. Um, and we'll be talking about what were the drivers for DSME to embark on this journey. What were the challenges that they faced along the way? How did they overcome those challenges? What were the technology solutions that were taken into consideration? And finally, what resulted into the business benefits for DS Smith? So we'll be talking about this subject in next half an hour to 45 minutes, and then we'll have a couple of questions from the audience towards the end of the call. Without further ado, we'll get on to the subject. My name is Gaurav Dhing. I am head of COE and solution architecture at Exponentia. I have got 20 plus years of experience in the building data platform for different customers across industry segments and across technologies ranging from on-prem to cloud, AWS and Azure. Let me also take a minute to talk through Exponentia.ai. Exponentia is a data and AI company which is based out of Mumbai, India. It has its operations across the globe, with offices being present in London and also in Singapore. Exponentia is a global service provider which is specialized, highly specialized into the field of data and AI, which is helping enterprises in building their modern data platform. We understand what the challenges enterprises are going through over a period of time, and we use our expertise to help them build a more future-proof data platform. That said, I would like to welcome our esteemed guest on this webinar with me. We have got Dr. Abhiram Gandhe from DS Smith, and we also have Fiona Armada from Amazon Web Services with me. A warm welcome to both of you who will be helping me.
Thank you for having us, Gaurav.
Thank you. I would request Abhi to give his quick introduction and before we get into the thick of the subject.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Abhiram Gandhe. I am Director Data AI and Platform Services for DS Smith. I am responsible for building the data and AI platforms and working with the data to make it available for the data decision support systems. So that's me from DS Smith.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. My name is Fiona Armada. I'm a Principal Solution Architect in Amazon Web Services, and I'm responsible for the manufacturing vertical inside the enterprise customers in the UK. I'm based near London, I've been in AWS for around 5 years and some change, but I have almost 30 years of experience in the IT sector, mainly with manufacturing customers. I've been working with DS Smith the last year and a half, more or less, no? And helping Abraham and his team on their data transformation data journey. I'm very excited to be in this webinar, and I hope the information we provide to all will be helpful.
Thank you so much, Abhiram and Fiona, for your introduction. We will now spend some time talking about how the DS Smith has really, come along the journey of building a data platform, which was um, which was a traditional data platform back in time, and then there was a growing need to really modernize their existing data platform to a cloud hosted data platform. So with that background, if I can request Abhi you to share some insight onto how this journey really came about. What were the drivers which really enforced us to get onto this journey, and how it has been over last several months to a couple of years.
Sure, sure. Thanks for that. I suppose everyone knows about DS Smith. At DS Smith, we are a paper packaging company. We are a FTSE 100 company which has a footprint across the globe with multiple nationalities and multiple plants and mills from paper and packaging perspective. We have grown a lot from the last decade with respect to acquisitions, which means there is a different federated IT systems across the globe, and in the last couple of years, we saw how we could utilize the data and digital space to consolidate ourselves from the data perspective, and that's what was that was the why which we were trying to address in here from the data perspective, and we built our data platform. We call it data factory, not an Azure data factory. It's a data factory which is built in AWS, and it has all the data lakes and the needed tools for it. Eventually, first it started with respect to different projects which were giving having the grounds, which had the values, which were like, okay, what we should be able to do analytics on top of this data, and starting with respect to ingesting disparate data. But as we went ahead, we could see this in value which we were getting from these projects and consolidating that towards a platform. So yeah, that's where we are. With that motivation, we have built our data platform in AWS.
Thank you, Abhi, for that insight. I'm sure that resonates with many of our participants who have been in a similar situation, who are probably also in a similar situation to really have modernized their platform and really go move from a traditional platforms to a cloud native data platform. That said, I'm sure the purpose is great, the intent is great, but the journey always is turbulent. There are typically issues and challenges which come along the way. So if you could highlight a couple of challenges which came across through this journey, and how did we kind of overcome them, that could be helpful for our audience to see if they could learn and get benefited out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, truly, the challenges are in the interesting part of the journey. Importantly, as I said, and we started with multiple mills, multiple IT estates across the globe. The questions were like, okay, we have our own IT estate, we can do the analytics in our area. Why do we need a common data platform and stuff? And that was the mindsets which needed to be challenged, needed to be aligned, needed to be worked out. So, of course, the projects like procurement analytics and with respect to efficiency of equipments and stuff helped in that in the long with the broader scope, but at the same time making it into the right stable platform right set of tools, giving the right set of features so that that value can be proved from the technology perspective was also an important challenge. Thanks to AWS and thanks to Exponentia AI, we could put the right set of tools in place, and we could give the right set of features for the stakeholders. And importantly, from the feature perspective, it comes out always to be, oh, it's data, it's fuel, it's important, it's sacred, and are we able to guard it rightly? And that's where the data governance side of the story, the data ownership side of the story, granting the accesses and having it granular was one of the challenge to build as well as to communicate it out. And that's where the expertise from Exponentia had helped. At the same time, the tools from AWS, all the landing zones and the data zones from AWS were able to give us that confidence and the right implementation to get it there.
Thank you, Abhiram. That was quite insightful. And you did mention that AWS helped along this journey. Exponentia helped as a service provider or a service partner. Would you like to mention any specific reasons why? Because selecting a right cloud provider and a right service provider is very, very crucial. Was there any specific reason you want to call out why the selection was made to AWS and chosen Exponentia as a service provider?
Definitely, I would like to throw some light onto that. And as I have a long relationship with AWS and have been working with AWS, and the space of innovation in AWS is amazing. At the same time, the set of tools they are having, the set of technologies they are building, the set of features they are including in their technologies, and making it easier to use from the different use cases perspective is really, really commendable and helpful. When you are a technocrat, you can understand, you can utilize it right, and you can use it on demand right. So that's the best part about AWS for me. They have the right set of tools which can or technologies which can help with the right set of use case. And with of course the consulting side of the story, they advise us in the right way. Okay, this is a better tool in a certain side. But that's not all. With respect to the frameworks they have put in, and like the well architected review, it helps me understand what should I look from a cloud perspective, and how I can address a security in cloud, how can I address all the 5 pillars in the cloud, and that helps the designing right. And of course, to do that right, we need the right set of partners from the supplier perspective, and Exponentia has been the pillar there for me, mainly with their experience in AWS, their experience in data has helped me a lot to build the right thing in right time. And that is always important, being the right thing in the right time and utilizing the experience which a partner has or a supplier has. And I would truly say Exponentia was a partner for me while we were building it for DS Smith. Because it went really seamless with the experience and knowledge they had towards the data, AI, and AWS space.
Thank you for those words, Abhi. And indeed, AWS is unparalleled when it comes to the number of services, the length and breadth of them. And by the time you finish counting how many services AWS provide, there'll probably be more coming onto the plate. So, indeed, well said. AWS is quite a capable platform for us to really leverage and use for any modern data platform journey. So, with the journey, the challenges, and how we overcame over the period of a year and a half for us, a number of projects must have been accomplished and would have delivered value, I suppose. Would you want to throw some light specifically around what were the benefits, and if there are tangible benefits that we have achieved as a result of this data journey that would really help our audience to understand why they should go about a data modernization?
Yeah. I would start with rather talking about our journey, the data journey in DS Smith, and DS Smith as an organization, DS Smith as a work culture is quite an open culture, at least from the IT and data perspective, I would say, where we are happy to fail fast, but fail right, I would say, and importantly, while we were working on the data projects, the way in which a particular data has to move, a pipeline has to be built, ingestion has to be done, a SAP has to be connected, ERP has to be uh, worked out or connected in is a learning which we did on the on we were doing the job of the project, and that was a good learning as we went ahead, and that was the right journey which we could put into place. As we went ahead, the ways in which we could see similarities in, let's say, the ingestion, the transformation, the storage, the exposing from the consumption or visualization perspective, we were able to build patterns out of it thanks to all the modern technologies of CI/CD and the API driven approach of AWS. We could automate those things, we could put that into our platforms, we can get those in baked into our ecosystem so that we can work on the project faster, we could address the concerns from the security better, we could build something which is robust, and that's where our journey with respect to the data platform started. Once we had done a couple of projects, once we could replicate our successes, and once as I said, we failed fast so that we could rectify fast and we could move things into the right direction. There were certain set of ingestion tools which were not right, we could move into the right direction, looking at what we failed with, getting the right inputs from AWS, getting the experience from Exponentia, and now we have a wonderful platform which is able to ingest data from the internal and external sources. We are able to schedule our different set of pipelines from the transformation, verification, consolidation perspective. At the same time, we are able to put a platform which is a operational decision support system, not just the analytics side. We could enhance that, and we have a bigger plan of enhancing that into the right area, like we are working and setting up the AI and ML ops side of the story, and we have multiple products running from AI perspective. It was just because the journey was right, the thought process was right, and we got there with the right set of experience.
Thank you, Abhi. I think that the key word that I took out of that message is really fail fast and fail safe. I think that's one of the message which we want to really take rather than really making a big plan. We want to really, move fast, take small steps, and maybe course correct as we move along, because there are always going to be hiccups, there are going to be challenges, and those challenges, nature of the challenge could vary from one organization to another organization. So that said, I think the journey is interesting. It's always exciting. People look forward to it. There is big investment from the organization, and the value that the platform should bring to the table is very much appreciated, very much watched for. With all that, Abhi, if you would want to say uh, give your advice to the organizations which are still in the nascent stage, which are not yet started with their journey, or which are in the middle of their journey, what are the couple of things that you would suggest them to do or probably avoid doing?
Mhm. Yeah. Uh, mm, uh, that's an interesting question, and I would say I am learning, and I have learned on the job. The best way to approach anything like this is with the value proposition, the right set of value which your product, which your platform, which your processes give. That's the rider of things. That makes it a easier journey. That makes it a workable journey. When we started with our implementation, it was the key projects which we were concentrating on, and that was the first value giver for us, where we could propose, okay, this is the value which we are getting out of this set of data, and this is what we are earning, and we can talk about the value as we go ahead, how we can quantize that and monetize that. But that's the starting point, where you can show, okay, this is the set of data which is giving me a set of value which is exponential with respect to the investment which we have done, and think from the perspective how much this whole set of data which we have can leverage the value for us, and that's the starting point. So make the right business case, get the right partners with you who have the right set of experience, showcase the capability, and that's a start of a wonderful journey, I would say, because you are creating the right set of platforms, you are talking from the sense of value where the investments can flow in, and you have the right partners to keep on building and creating your roadmaps to benefit the organization. Most of the time you would get your values as per the capabilities which are your organization capabilities which the organization wants to build, and that should be your starting point.
Thank you, Abhi, for sharing those insights with all of us. So we heard Dr. Abhiram Gandhi talking about his experience, his data journey on DS Smith, and how it has been, going through different challenges, how we overcame, and how did it benefit ultimately towards the goal of the organization. I would like to now bring Fiona and learn from some of her experience, who is a principal solution architect with a lot of experience on cloud technologies and a lot of experience on AWS in particular. Um, Fiona, my first question is going to be more pertaining to the industry where DS Smith belongs to, which is manufacturing, and you also happen to be part of manufacturing, um, aligned to a manufacturing industry within AWS. So, would you want to share your experience on how you have been able to help different customers in the manufacturing segment with their journey on data?
Thank you very much, Gaurav. And yes, indeed, kind of working with ESS closely, but as part of the manufacturing vertical, I see a lot of the customers as well. No, one of the underpinnings of the data strategy, right? We all like to see first the business outcome, no, from that data strategy and what we're looking to achieve, no. In Amazon Web Services, we have something we call working backwards from the customer, right? And thinking the idea is, well, we need to understand first the outcomes we want to achieve. No? From manufacturing customers, outcomes we have seen from other customers. No? For example, if we talk about energy consumption, we see between 5 and 10% energy reduction for some customers. If we talk about optimized production, we can see between a 10 and 60% of increase on overall efficient OEE, no, overall equipment efficiency. No. If we talk about large manufacturing customers use a lot of resources like water, air, gas, electricity, we can see 5 to 6, 7% of decrease of consumption of materials. Or in any case that we talk about digital-enabled supply chains, for example, we see 5 to 10% reduction of fulfillment times, or in time fulfillment as an outcome as well. This is not our data. This is market research that we have done in AWS for customer has embraced their own digital transformation. All of this, of course, is underpinned with data, and having a modern data strategy that DSS is currently the journey is key, right? And the idea is, well, the data is important because every single data is central to the business. Every single data enables to make decisions on the right time and the right speed. And the data drives the digital transformation, create new experiences, and enable to innovate faster. The problem with this is most of the customers we see, they are sitting in a lot of systems. Those systems are very siloed, complex, and very difficult to work with them. And the idea with these systems, they're not really connected, no? And it's very difficult to set value out of them. Finding, connecting, and managing those systems is one of the key challenges that we see on customers like DSS and other customers. And this gets worse when we talk about generative AI. We've been listening to the market for generative AI for everyone, and not generative AI, not different. No, it's still, you need a high level of understanding of data and knowing your data you have on your platform. All of this requires to build an end-to-end foundation of data, and then you need, as Abraham mentioned before, a wider set of tools in the platform. No, I do have, to your question, we have 200 plus services on the market, right? And we are constant innovation. No, we have done last year around 3,400 new releases of features on the tooling set, and this year we are around 4,000 releases on the tool. No, we are close to reinvent, so we expect another plethora of announcement from the idea. No, but the idea is we build to these tools based on customer demand. 96% of the tools that we build is based on customer demand. No, so the idea is we create capabilities to store, query, analyze, and act on the data with a good optimized price performance ratio as well. No, the direct integration between source and target systems with a lot of sets of ETL tooling that we have available, and of course, machine learning, AI, generative AI across the different parts of the area pipeline or the area path. No? AWS has been on the data space for a long time. We have the first S3 object storage system, that's the first scalable object storage database like Amazon Aurora, Amazon DynamoDB, or Amazon Redshift, where it's a high, but it's very used with DSmith. No, and SageMaker is the first cloud-based machine learning environment. And now with the latest releases of Amazon Bedrock for generative AI, or Amazon Q, is a generative AI assistance as well that helps to underpin this modern data strategy. AWS today supports more than 2 million customers that are running their own data projects in AWS. I will have experiences at DSmith and other large customers like Volkswagen and a few other ones that currently use all the modern data in AWS.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Fiona. I think that was quite an insightful information. One thing that you brought about for manufacturing customers in particular is, as we all know, manufacturing is one of the oldest industry. And being the oldest, there are systems which are very, very old, legacy systems. And therefore, since data is the fuel for any data platform, the biggest challenge which DSmith faced, and I think most of the manufacturing customer face, is how do we connect these disparate data sources, bring the data onto a single platform and really integrate them, which is one of the biggest challenge that we see in the manufacturing industry. Now, when you talk about data, bringing data is the first challenge, the biggest challenge. Once we have the data, the second biggest challenge that comes is how do we secure it? So data security becomes one of the most painful or sought after area, which we want to be very, very careful. Once we have brought a large amount of data, we don't want to have unauthorized access to the people, and then they start losing trust about the security. So my question with that, Fiona, is if you could throw some light specifically around data security, which is very, very important topic. How does AWS help ensuring the security of the data on the AWS platform?
Perfect. Thank you for that. And I think we go to the specific manufacturing customers, as you well said, no? Of course, security is job zero for AWS, right? But first of all, we have to get access to that data, no? As you mentioned, that data is available generally available on OT systems or DCS systems, right? Or even on Scala systems, right? That's a very sensitive place, no? And if we talk about the pure model of security, for example, that's our seven layers. Normally, the data that will have more value is along layer 3 and layer 4, no? On the control network, on the process network. Once we have access to the data, we can secure using some tool like IoT Core or the Sitewise and a few other tooling that enable to create end-to-end secure connections from the factory back away to the cloud. The next steps that we're looking is to generate and work with data context, right, and data management as well. No? So the idea is we contextualize the data, we get the data, we access the data in a secure way, we move to the cloud, we generate context, right? And that context enables real decision making. No? To answer specifically your question about security, AWS has a lot of accreditations in the market, no, from different partners and different auditors and different areas, and we are able to comply to most of the most stringent security stations in the platform. That's another part that helps on that process. As Ariane mentioned, the web architecture review, that they have a security pillar. That security pillar helps customers to kind of go through the checklist, right, and asking the right questions if how they secure the data and how doing working with the data. We have to aware that in AWS we have something called the shared responsibility model, right? Shared responsibility model is a very important kind of mindset to have for customers, where we define where the limits are in each area. And I put in a very simple way, we have two main areas. No, customers are responsible for security in the cloud, and AWS security is responsible for security of the cloud. So AWS has in charge the typical things about the physical spaces, data center, network, and everything that is related to the infrastructure. And customers have only to focus on their own application and their own path for their own data. No? We provide a lot of toolings to achieve this compliance, and things like formation, IAM roles, and a few other things helps to customers to achieve whatever level of compliance or requirements they need based on the industry, on their regulator, or any other framework that they want to apply in that.
Thank you, Fiona, for that information. I think security with that explanation kind of, gives some level of comfort to the people that they are fully secure once they are on AWS platform. They don't need to really worry about it. That said, let me ask a slightly larger question in terms of AWS is a leading cloud service provider, and more and more customers are choosing AWS. Could you also explain what is the benefit that the organizations get working with AWS? What additional benefits come along, and how does AWS really on the ground support the organizations in this initiative? What additional benefits or support do they provide?
It's a great question. I think what we like to talk to customers and how we see the customers and how we help and support customers. No, what we normally discuss is what we call the flywheel. No, the flywheel of innovation. No, and flywheel is thinking into doing something small, proving the value, and then building on top of that area to help the customer to innovate or deliver faster or whatever the outcome is looking. No? If we take an example that we have for a different customer, we look into 4 different pillars: operation excellence, time to market, time to deliver, and customer experience. All those 4 are connected. When you have an improved OEE, for example, you help to reduce the time to market. Better collaboration enables customers to deliver faster, and that's mainly short time to deliver, and that improves customer experience. Those 4 pillars come together, and then they start to drive the flywheel, no? Where you generate new use cases. No? In manufacturing customer, we look into 5 pillars where we look innovation and improvement on the current environment. The first pillar we talk about engineering and design. Engineering design, we talk things about time to market, lower infrastructure cost, improve collaboration or secure worldwide collaboration between a distributed customer like DS Smith. No? For smart manufacturing, that's our second pillar. We talk about lower cost, but lower cost on energy, machines, and labor, for example, lower energy consumption, improve machine performance with OEE increase, for example, or reduce production downtime, tightly connected with OEE. No? If we talk about smart product machine or third pillar, we talk about generating better user experiences because we digitalizing the machine itself, create new revenues streams because we are exposing and enabling customers to provide more insights, no, on the current machines, on the current environment they have. And of course, it helps to improve service and service qualities of those machines because we are having enabled data-driven decisions and data-enabled machines. No,
Yeah.
or third pillar, if I can get my count right, supply chain management. Supply chain is a very topical for customers. All the disruption supply chain is every single discussion that we have with customers. We talk a little bit about supply chain, no? And in general, are four pillars now that we look in supply chain: improve forecast accuracy, reduce inventory costs, improve capacity utilization, and improve resilience of the supply chain. And improving resilience is very important because we enable customers to have end-to-end supply by facility chain, and let help customers to adapt and change their own pipeline, the manufacturing needs as well, enable to help and improve their own outcomes based on disruption supply chain. And last but not least is very topical about sustainability. And sustainability, we see most of the industries that they're trying to drive decarbonization and reduce greenhouse emissions, and they're looking to reduce scope 3, scope 2 emissions across the value chain. No? So those five pillars, right, is what we see helps, and we see customers on supplying and helping on the manufacturing space. No, we have different solutions and products and architectures for all these five pillars, right? And you can find it on the website, but that's in general our approach to customers. And this is again based what we see in customers and based on working backward methodology. You know, so first of all, start small, scale quick, right, and build on top of your previous successes.
That's the right way.
Thank Yes, indeed. Thank you, Fiona. So I think there's a lot of support that we get with AWS apart from tools and technologies, which is one side of it. But in order to make them really implement them faster, scalable in a right design model is really where AWS stands out with their flywheel approach, with their documentation around how do we ensure security, how do we ensure governance, and all of that is really an additional benefit that we really can enjoy together with the AWS services that we use. So that said, I will move on to the next section of this webinar where we want to zoom into one of the use case that was implemented for DS Smith of late. And this use case is called track chain. And we want to get a little bit more deeper insight into what this use case is how does it benefit customers or the users, and what value does it bring to the table. So with that, let me start by asking Abhi you around this track chain. So I'll not reveal more secret. I would let you uncover what is track chain all about,
Yeah.
and what was the reason for embarking on this track chain or starting this track chain as a use case.
Yeah, it. I would say very interesting use case. Track chain, as the name implies, we are tracking. And what are we tracking? Again, from the manufacturing world, as Fiona said, the most important part, the supply chain. Where are we moving? What are we moving? Are we moving it right? And that's what track chain helped us with. For interesting part about track chain was that was the first time we implemented IoT data moving through and showcasing into our visualization. uh, of course we are capturing IoT data, and we are doing it regularly into the mills and stuff, but this was where we could get it out from every direction, move it into a single place, and make it available. Our stakeholders were really happy with the way in which the data was perceived, the data was visible, the alerts were there. So that was an interesting one where we are capturing from the trucks where the data products are, how are they moving, where is if there are faults and stuff like that. We were getting that, of course, into our data lake so that we can do the right visualizations, what's our general time for delivering from A to B and stuff like that. But at the same time, we were getting real time inputs where we were talking about, okay, there is a fault, there is a flat tire, there is a geopardy happening somewhere. And that was a very, very helpful tool for the stakeholders, for the customers of this product. We are going ahead and enhancing it, putting in a lot of AI in there from computer vision to others. But The most important thing was how to implement that from the AWS side with all our data platform in place, with our data lake in place, but that needed additional inputs, that needed streaming, that needed fast inputs coming in, that had lots of input coming in small amount of time, and moving that across and getting that to the real-time dashboards, getting that to real-time events. That was an interesting mm, uh, task to manage, an effort to implement, and Exponentia helped us a lot into that. And Gaurav, if you want to just go ahead and talk about our solution there, that would be interesting for everyone.
Will do that. Thank you, Abhi. If I can request Ashay to put the slides on, and we'll probably spend not a long time going through the slides, which are typically tend to be boring in nature, but just to get your attention on this journey, which is for the IoT devices, supply chain, as Abhi mentioned and Fiona said, is very crucial part of any manufacturing industry, and this solution really helps to solve one of the typical problems with supply chain management, which is tracking where their goods are going. Are they, getting bumped along the way? Are they getting, stolen along the way? Are they getting stuck somewhere, flat tire? Are they, getting missed? So all of this is what we had in mind when we developed this solution. From a technology perspective, obviously integration of the data was the biggest challenge. We needed to get this data in a real time because client wanted to know as soon as, let's say, a package is opened, they want to know, oh, we don't expect the package to be opened, a light sensor has kicked in and it has sent us an alert. So they want to be alerted in a real time basis as soon as an event happens. And to enable that, we need to make sure that the data is getting ingested at a very fast pace from the IoT devices to the IoT vendor to the AWS data lake and all the way to the dashboard. So integration of the data was a crucial element of this. Data storage was obviously on AWS Redshift, which really has the capability to power up really fast analytical queries to help customers understand what the pattern looks like onto the IoT data. Is there something which is looking out of the pattern or something which is off the trail, and they want to really get to know. So the AWS stack, Redshift, S3 is the tool used for the storage. The security is enabled on S3 as well as Redshift. The data is encrypted as it travels from devices to the vendor to cloud platform and back to the end customer. So there's enough security which was used to be able to ensure the data is not um, stolen or lost along the way. User experience was the third part of the solution, where we had two set of users. One was the end customers whose goods are really getting delivered across the journey, and they wanted to see their journey moving using a web platform or a website, which is where they could log in, they could see, they could create journeys, they could create the alerts, they could configure them, and this was all done using the Angular as a front end technology and Python as a backend language, which is supporting it. And we also had a number of AWS tools which were kind of helping us, such as Kubernetes and Kinesis, which was helping us in making this user experience really useful. And we also had dashboarding using Power BI, which is where you are doing the historical data analysis, see how the trends look like, how the data was being visualized a month back in the similar journey, and how does it analyze now a month later in the current journey. And that really helps customers identify anomalies into the data. For scalability, obviously we used a number of AWS services. I mentioned about Kubernetes, which is highly scalable. It can cater to a very high increase in the demand, and then you've got Redshift, which also is highly scalable to provide the to cater to the need of growing users. Um, if you could go to the next. Okay, this is a little bit under the hood view. So on the left side, you see the typical parameters that we would receive from the sensors, which is around the temperature of the goods or package or box, or plane for that matter. You could stick the device to any part of your supply chain journey. What is the humidity on a real time basis? Are there any shock which has detected? Has there been a free fall, tilt, or a light exposure event that has happened? Or it also tracks the coordinates of the devices, IoT devices, and tracks the battery. So these are typical parameters that we gather on a real time basis. And on the right hand side, if you see, it really is a visualization of packages which are moving into a truck, but it could be any vehicle for that matter. And you've got sensors installed on those, vehicles, packages, boxes, which feeds the IoT data onto the IoT service providers. And this could be more than one service providers who are providing this service. They collect the data from sensors and then they feed it into the data factory. Again, not to confuse, this is the DS Smith data factory and not Azure data factory, where we keep collecting this data on a real-time basis from the IoT providers. And then it goes through a complete journey of Medellin architecture over to the Redshift, and then finally this data is processed, analyzed, and transformed that can be made meaningful for the customers on the web portal. So that's really in a nutshell how the overall journey of data looks like and how the technology enabled in implementation of this use case. Uh, there were a couple of challenges I think Abhi mentioned about this, which is one of them is acquiring this data, the fast moving data. The another challenge was data security, very important because we are talking about data for multiple customers being processed, and we want to make sure that only the right users have access to the authorized data to them. And performance also was one of the typical challenge that we had faced, where we wanted to, one is ingest data and also analyze it at a very fast pace. And the right choice of tools really helped us achieve and overcome those challenges. um, that said, I would probably now come to you, Fiona, for getting some of your perspective on the tools, the AWS tools and technologies that we used on this. If you want to shed some more light as to how those had helped in this use case being successful.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And that's the thing, it's showcase one of the main benefits of the cloud, no? In particular, the diversity of tools that we have in AWS. As you mentioned, no? you start to work with a slightly different set of data, no? This IoT data, that is a data that is changed very quickly. It's streaming data, and it's a data that you haven't used before on DSS. One of the benefits of working with the cloud is that you have all these tools available to you, and you don't have to pre-build or construct or start deploying those tools in advance. No? Those capabilities are available, and you can consume without any additional upfront work. No? The idea of these tools helps you to enable to experiment and innovate without any risk, because most of these tools that we mentioned, specifically, for example, Kinesis, right, are available in the console. Those tools, because are available in the console, helps to implement quicker. Those tools are scalable because it's been tested with many other customers before, so we know, or we have proven the scalability of those tools. And because it's just a pay-as-you-go model, there's no risk on experimentation. If the experiment doesn't work, you only pay what you have consumed up to that moment, and then you can, roll back on all of that. We don't want that, of course. We want to be successful, but the idea is reduce the lower of entry. No, in a traditional environment, first of all, you have to build those capabilities, and secondly, you have to test it and scale it by yourself. All of that, what we call undifferentiated heavy lifting, is removed automatically with the cloud, and let customers like DS Smith to experiment, implement, and scale very quickly new use cases in the data platform in a very short time. No, probably a question I think for Gaurav and Abraham, no, is how long this project took from the beginning to the end.
So that was an amazing part. Actually, that's the best part about this trifecta. Where, as I said at the start, we had something running, but that needed enhancements, and something like, okay, get IoT into place. There was an IoT tool. There was a design which Exponentia could do. We could get it in. We could connect it in. We could get streaming going on, because there is the kinesis already there. So building on top of what we had in AWS and utilizing these tools was really fast. We could get the benefits right there, and we could bolt onto what we already had, and more or less like a plug and play. We could get the data ingested into the data lake and move it out into our real time reports. So that was phenomenal in the speed of delivery. That was uh, quantization of the value out there. That was really, really good. And I would say, as again, the trifecta worked really well in this case. Rather, that's what is happening again with the AI use cases, which we are trying to get onto it because of the success which we had um, with TrackChain, the bedrock out there, the expertise from an AI perspective to build models, get the Gen AI in is really good to synergize and move forward.
Yeah, I would agree with Abhiram 100%. As we were building this platform, it was very seamless. The time that was most spent is to understand the business need and how we can cater to it versus really building a solution, which was fast, rapid, and obviously we followed the approach of
We
start
could get
quick.
it live in a couple of months, I would say.
It
12
was less
months.
than, yes, a couple
Mm.
of months at best. And we really wanted to have this out to our end customers to be able to see the power of
And,
data in the
and that
platform.
was from idea to production.
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
Okay, so with that, I would open the floor for any questions from the audience. We have got a few minutes we can spend on it to see if there are any queries with respect to the DSMIS journey, with respect to AWS in particular, or with respect to the overall data platform, how it helps and how it really evolves over a period of time. So open for questions from the
I, could,
audience.
I can see Gracie's question there. Yeah, Gracie, the good journey for Data Factory, a long way to go ahead. The multiple set of functionalities are in the pipeline with respect to the IoT and OT platform getting integrated. There are data services which we are planning out of our platform. There is a governance which is in place. We are extending it to make the data more available from the organization perspective. A lot more already put up from our future direction perspective, and we are quite confident with respect to implementing it, thanks to our experience with AWS and our partners, Exponential.
Thank you, Abhi, for answering that. We'll just give it a few seconds to see if there's any other question. Okay, we have got another question, and it's around AWS. How does AWS see the future of the modern data platform as they adapt to the emerging business needs and technological advancement? Quite a loaded question for you, Fiona.
Absolutely. We're more than happy to answer that question. I think from AWS perspective, we've seen customers, especially large enterprise customers, on the beginning of the journey. We are really on the beginning for the data to enable customers to be fully data driven, right? We've seen great use cases and great successes, but I think we don't have capture a huge market share on the data, and not from a data perspective, but I mean data that's still locked on proprietary systems, data that's still not available for the wider company, or use cases that has not been utilized or not fully been deployed. So there's a gap between success like a track chain, right, and to have a further democratization of the data at large scale. That's what we see customers going slowly and the customer going to the journey. And the idea is right now with generative AI and generative AI for manufacturing in particular, we see an explosion of absolutely new use cases we see for customers are looking. And the idea of getting with generative AI is make faster, quicker, and much simpler to develop and implement AI-driven solutions for customers. I think this connects quite well with the second question that I see in generative AI for real-time objects for internal business users, traction and releasing movements. That's exactly what I'm going to touch. No, what we see with generative AI, it's apart from the hype that we see a little bit on the customers, but in general we see a lot of value. No, and the idea is we see value in three pillars. For your customers, no, providing this visibility for customers, for example, for track chain, but also to enable more richer experiences from the customer base, having like a more natural languages to talk to bots. So, for example, ask questions, what is my shipping is? And the generative AI model can check your name, your customer number, and a few things behind the scene and provide a natural language answer. Employees, no? How you improve your employees' experience with generative AI, right? How you can improve your productivity. For example, generative AI helps a lot to troubleshoot machines and things that could be broken down in the factory. So we can ask, why I have a red light on number 2? And it will give you some answers and the possible options where the red light is kind of failing. Now, another thing that we're looking for as well on the backend process, no? How we can implement or augment your backend process with generative AI and lower efficiency, increasing efficiency and lowering costs as well. No? So those three pillars where we see mostly that we work. And the idea is always start with a business challenge and then drive back to that drive challenge. And what I mentioned, this flywheel before helps to innovate quicker and all of that. It's early days for most of the large manufacturing customers, but we see a lot of successes building slowly.
Yeah, taking it forward from actually, Fiona, how we could see the value and what we have implemented from the data factory or DS-Smith perspective, for that matter. We have use cases of knowledge management, which we have implemented for using Gen AI inside of the DS-Smith. And on top of the data factory platform, we are working on our document processing and intelligently processing the documents. We are also working on the semantic layer of the data, where a natural language questions can be asked on the data, and the language model can understand where to answer it from. So those are few interesting use cases which is getting us value thanks to Gen AI. And of course, track chain and logistics is pivotal. When from Gen AI perspective, when we were saying, okay, there would be more identification of truck numbers and validating the faces of the drivers and stuff like that. All these cases are wonderfully done with Gen AI.
Thank you, Abhi, and thank you, Fiona, for all the details. Conscious of the time, we are almost at the top of the hour and probably a couple of minutes over. We are very happy to take any questions you may have after this webinar on the LinkedIn page. Feel free to connect with us, and we'll be able to provide you whatever information and insight that we have gained through our journey. So that's it. I would like to really close this webinar by thanking Dr. Abhiram and Fiona for joining us as a guest and providing their experience, sharing their experience on this platform. And thank you to all the audience for being part of it. We really learned the nuts and bolts of the journey that the DS Smith has gone through over their data platform modernization and how it could benefit other organizations who are in a similar journey or who wish to be in the similar journey. So with that note, I would like to close this webinar. Thank you, everyone, and have a great
Thank
rest
you,
of the day.
everyone. Thanks, Gaurav, for having us. It was a wonderful
Thank you.
discussion.
Bye.